so shiny. It's the Meze Elites. I had the Empyreans for quite a while. We had sort of a mixed history, but I did love them on many levels. This is the 25% more expensive upgrade, I don't know, side grade, different grade to the Empyreans at 3K. This is the 4K. 4K! Incredibly efficient, 101 dB, 32 ohm. Tested these things on a bunch of amps, a couple of DACs, and I've been listening to them for a while. I actually tried these a long time ago, not a long time, like sort of when they came out. I got a sample, a little taste. Didn't really blow me away, but I was like listening to a bunch of stuff at the same time, so it was what it was. Now I'm getting to spend a little more time with them. I've actually spent a few months with them, maybe like 3 months with them. I can't remember. They've been on loan for a while, and yeah, I've been thinking a lot about them. I've sort of listened to them, put them away, tried them on a few different systems. So I think I've got a perspective on them now. I mean, first off, fit and finish, as with all the Meze products, especially the high-end Meze products, is just insane. It's so good. Everything's so pretty. Just every little thought, every little detail. It's all machined aluminum, these cool grills, and the detachable ear pads remain. I did try the other ear pads for a little bit. They're the ones that are like, oh, here they are. These guys, all sueded out and a little thicker. I don't care for them. I don't think they do these things any favor. But if you want to soften them up, that's a route to go. Leather, carbon fiber, yum. These have the little mini XLR connector, which is handy if you have been a ZMF owner in the past and you happen to have, or Auto-Z, right? If you happen to have that cables with that, great, good to go. I did audition this with this little handy dandy sort of shorty travel cable with a 3.5 on it, and also with some ZMF fancy cables I happen to have on hand. Yeah, overall, I think my impression was sort of like, soft but detailed. I feel like the bass is definitely more rewarding on these than it was on the Empyreans. I'd say the overall signature is maybe a little rounder, a little warmer than other sort of flagship planers at this level. The sound is interesting. It sort of sits a little bit behind you at times. That was kind of confusing. The sound stage for me. It was sort of like close and then behind, but there was some space. It's kind of hard to explain. It definitely has a bit more of an edge than the Empyrean to my memory, which I had a while ago. So grain of salt that, because I did not have them next to each other. But I definitely feel like this had a little more edge, a little more presence. I was listening to Rafi Bushman, who's like sort of doing like a classical jazz sort of thing with like a heavy emphasis on percussion. And these things felt very at home. There was nothing forced or overly emphasized, but it was still really engaging, and you could like really kind of sit into the groove, which was really nice. And they've got a sweetness to them. They've got a smoothness to them. I'd say like sort of Vaseline on the lens. That feels sort of like insulting, like it's like taking away all the clarity. I don't think that's true, but they definitely have a sort of laid back personality on some levels. Songs with energy and separation and drama were just pretty damn rewarding. Like Bob Dylan, Man in the Long Black Coat, like that was kind of a home run for these. Songs that have like a lot of elements that are more crowded, that are more dense, those are maybe not as successful for me. It almost reminds me of like really great vintage audio gear where you get that warmth, you get that glow, you get that nostalgia, you get that sort of natural tonality. And then in the good gear, you also get like this surprising level of clarity and detail where you're like, what? This is like a 20, 30-year-old, 40-year-old speaker. How is this so good? Or this amp is ancient. How is it blowing me away? So it was like some of those moments I've had with like really great old tube gear or really great old speakers where I'm like, what? This sounds so nice and so comfortable, but yet it's still got some of that technical like clarity of higher end stuff. Now, okay, that's my sort of my sort of warm, loving, like, sort of feedback to this headphone, and I think all that's true. I also think you got to push this headphone a bit if you want to get what it can do. So amps, right? I listen to it on everything from like the Mojo, Chord Mojo, up to like, 300B driven amps, some solid state, some tubes, everything. Like, yes, this thing is super efficient, and so it'll play plugged into your laptop and pretty well. The Mojo was really great. I was really happy with it there. Put it on some good big powerful amps and it has more to offer, and if you push it, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, that's the right volume, but then you turn it up like 1 or 2 notches, and it's not necessarily about getting a lot louder, but it's about waking it up and bringing a little more energy to the party. And this is definitely one of those headphones that, like, if you push it a little bit more, it'll bring a little more to the party. And that's kind of cool, right? To have something that can be kind of chill, or if you want to push it, you can kind of get a more engaged, quote unquote audiophile experience. I also thought, like, I have one amp where you can sort of pair it with a bunch of different taps, and I thought it's 32 ohm, but I thought on like the 100 ohm sort of high Z pairing, that was actually better because it leaned it out and it fixed some of the things that kind of irritated me about this, which is that it doesn't have any sort of mid or sort of lower, like upper mids kind of like bump. It doesn't. The things that you're used to sort of coming forward in higher end gear do not come forward on this headphone. So things feel a little distant and not as present maybe as you might expect from something at this tier. And so like horns, like I wish horns were a little more present on this. They feel a little set back, a little laid back, and I want that energy. Just in general, I'd love a little more acceleration. I think it's like some people sort of consider this like the more aggressive version of the Empyrean, which again, I haven't listened to the Empyrean in forever, but this is still not an aggressive headphone. It doesn't bite in the way that like an LCD5 or a Focal Utopia or a Sesfara or things of this class would bite. It doesn't have that edge. It doesn't have that grip. It is not about that in my mind. It's not that it doesn't have detail. It's not that it doesn't have depth, but it is not about that bite and that sense of clarity and separation. That's not, like, if that's what you want, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be for you. Like I said, you can push it with the right amplification, the right DAC. You can push it, but I don't know if that's what you're looking for, if this is the train stop I'd get off at. I think with the wrong amp, the wrong pairing, you can feel sleepy. You can feel a little dull. It can feel a little crowded. Just maybe not that level of engagement that you'd expect from, a flagship. Yeah. So what is this headphone? It's light. It's comfortable. It looks great. It's easy to drive, and it's also got this sort of like chill, relaxed profile that's sort of listen all dayable. But you can also push it and get more out of it, get more energy out of it, and get more detail and more clarity and more pop. So it's a bit of a chameleon. It's a bit hard to pin down. If I was going to have one flagship and I wanted that sort of intensity and, micro detail and some of the things that we typically associate with headphones at this price point, I don't know that this is the one that's going to check those boxes. But do I think it answers a niche in the market, it fits for somebody who is looking for this profile, absolutely. So yeah, we'll leave the shiny there and call it a day. This is Signcraft, signing out.